Okay, this is the trigonometry part of the rescue plan. And say you had a question like this, and they gave you this point. They might not put in a triangle like this. In the prelims, they did. They put in a triangle like this. And then they ask you to find what's the sine of theta or the cosine of theta of this angle here, or the tangent of theta. Well, this -4 and -3, if you know that's the x-coordinate, it means you went -4 to the left. So there's your x value. That's the y-coordinate, so it means you went -3 down. And then you can actually put, if you know that 3, 4, and 5 makes a right-angled triangle, you can put 5 in them by Pythagoras. Or you can go -4 squared plus -3 squared, which is 25, and take the square root. So there it is, 5 by Pythagoras. That's the hypotenuse. Now, all of this stuff is using SOHCAHTOA. It's knowing what the ratio of sine and cosine and tangent is. So if you were asked to find the sine of theta, you go to theta, that's the angle they're talking about in this triangle, and you go opposite over hypotenuse. That's why it's -3/5. Cosine would be adjacent over hypotenuse. That's why it's -4/5. And tangent would be opposite over hypotenuse. -3 divided by -4, which is +3/4, two negatives. The question could be asked by giving you one of these functions and then maybe telling you that cosine is negative, and then you can use the double tick method, or you can, if you know sine's negative, it's got to be down here. If cosine's negative, it's got to be either here or here, so then you draw your triangle there. So that can happen. But what if, they don't just ask basic things in grade 12, they ask things, what about the sine of 2 theta, or the sine of theta plus 60? Now here's the part that frustrated me in the test. Some people saw the sine of 2 theta, and they thought, I don't know what to do, I can't do anything. But you're given this formula sheet, and it's got the sine of 2 theta is 2 times the sine times the cosine. So if you wrote that down, you'd get a mark. So wherever you see sine 2 theta, anywhere in the exam, rub it out and put 2 sine cosine. Now, if you worked out what sine and cosine is, you just substitute those values in, and there's your answer. Or where if you see the cosine of 2 angles added together, you're given this formula sheet. So there's the cosine of 2 angles together. Just write down the formula. So the cosine of theta plus 60 is cos, cos. It says cos, cos, theta and 60 minus sine theta and 60, alpha, beta. So you just write down the formula and put in 0 and 60, and you get a mark. Now, the cosine of 60 is a special triangle thing, and it's a half, adjacent over hypotenuse, 60 degrees. The sine of 60, opposite over adjacent, is √3/2. So you just put all the things that you learned what cosine theta is. You just substitute it in. That's a half. And the sine of theta was -3/5. You knew that. You just put it in your calculator, and you get the answer. And that's it. So they can ask other things even in this Pythag thing. Sometimes they can ask, what's the cosine of 180 plus theta? Well, we're still using sine, cos, and tangent like we figured out in the Pythag thing, but they could figure out this, the cosine of 100 plus theta. Well, all you have to know is where it is. Well, there's 180 degrees, and adding theta means when you add angles, you go clockwise. So that's where it is. You can memorize this or think 180 plus theta. And then you have to know, is cosine negative or positive there? Well, all things are positive here. Cosine's positive, so it must be negative. So your answer, the cosine of theta, it's -4/5. You make it negative. You'd get a mark for writing minus cos theta. And then plug it in. 2 negatives make a positive. 180 minus theta, go to 180. Look how we bend up. That's where 180 minus theta is. Is sine positive there? It sure is. So it's just sine theta you write down, and you get a mark for it. And we knew it was -3/5, so there's your answer. What about the cosine of minus theta? Well, minus means sorry, minus is clockwise, and positive angles are counterclockwise. These arrows are telling you where to go. That's counterclockwise. And this is clockwise. When you see minus, 180 minus theta. There's 0 minus theta right there. That's where you are. And is cosine positive? Or, oh, it's positive there. So it's just cosine theta is your answer. And we already had that one. What about 360 plus theta? Well, there's 360 plus counterclockwise. There we are. Well, tangent's positive up there. So if tangent was 3 over 4, the answer would be 3 over 4 again. That's just a little typo there. Okay. There's another type of Pythagorean thing. I just thought I'd get it in. They sometimes say like the sine of 34 degrees is p. And you're supposed to find the tangent without a calculator. So what you do in terms of p, they'll say, you make a triangle. And you have to know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, but make it p over 1. That makes it p over 1. So this picture is right. And then you use Pythagoras. A squared plus b squared is c squared. A squared plus p squared is 1 squared. And then subtract the p squared, take the square root, and there you've got a, this part here. A squared plus b squared is c squared is Pythagoras. That's what this part is. And so what's tangent? It's opposite over adjacent. SOHCAHTOA, opposite over adjacent. So your answer is p over root 1 minus p squared. And that's it.